That's how the generations changed. From the noise bothers people now. It never did years ago, because you were used to it.
Yeah.
I don't think you can take it home.
I'll try this.
Okay. Maybe it is fine, Sarah.
Sorry.
Okay, that's it.
I didn't have a Zeppelin phase, and sometimes I wonder why that is. Like, which stage of my masculine development was missing? A lot of them were missing, obviously, but what I'm trying to say is, which missing pieces to blame, you know? Is it because I didn't take guitar lessons? Is it because I wasn't on organized sports teams for very long? Was it because I didn't have an older brother? Was it because my relationship with my father's not good? Was it because my stepfather came into the picture too late? Is that where people hear about Zeppelin from? Cool stepdads? Were my uncles too cool? I mean, they told me about, like, The Cure and the Smiths. No mention of Led Zepp. Was it because I never really got into The Hobbit? I want to take a second to talk about the Wilco album, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. Because I realized today, as I was driving into work and listening to it, that enough time has passed that conceivably there could be people out there with fully formed and great taste in music who still have not yet heard this record. The math checks out. And that's really exciting. Yankee Hotel Foxtrot is a perfect album. If you want to mythologize it for yourself further before listening, you should watch the documentary I Am Trying to Break Your Heart, which is about the recording of this record, its troubled release, the turmoil it created in the band. In retrospect, actually, the semi-destruction of Wilco in the wake of this album makes perfect sense. Because when you create something this good, where do you go next? What part of yourself do you lose forever during the process? It's like a positive Horcrux or whatever. What strikes me listening to Yankee Hotel Foxtrot now is just how much fucking noise there is. As a person who sometimes worries about putting too much extra sound into my podcast, it's thrilling to hear how much static and distortion there is. It sounds like a man with an acoustic guitar singing softly in the middle of an electrical storm at the end of the world. And when you think about the context of Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, how it was recorded before 9/11 and released just after, it takes on an even stronger significance. It's like Wilco were the chosen poets to create the eulogy for the 20th century.
Tall buildings shake, voices escape, singing sad, sad songs, tuned to chords strung down your cheeks, bitter melodies, turning your orbit around.
And in that context, and, after many years of internally debating this, I think I'm ready to say that Ashes of American Flags is the greatest of the many great songs contained therein.
I'm down on my hands and knees every time the doorbell rings. I shake like a toothache when I hear myself sing. Oh my lies are only wishes. I know I would die if I could come back new.
Okay, so, Neon Bible, one thing we didn't really address about Neon Bible is that it's half an album about how religion is dumb and half an album about driving. So I think maybe, like in the fashion of you talking you two to me, we could sort of re-edit the track order. Like imagine a sort of more radical version of Neon Bible that maybe it ends with the redo of No Cars Go. What if it ends with a redone version of Headlights Look Like Diamonds? And maybe if you move Intervention a little further back and you kill I think you kill Antichrist Television Blues. But I'm not sure. Maybe it'd be better off to get rid of Windows Still, whatever. Meanwhile, looking ahead to The Suburbs, first of all, I feel like the song The Suburbs sounds like a Neil Young song, which is really cool. Also, I feel like The Suburbs, the line in the chorus that sometimes I can't believe it, I'm moving past the feeling, is like such a great, that's like a Neighborhood Number 1 level, amazing sentiment conveyed in simple words. Sometimes I can't believe it, I'm moving past the feeling. And it's so interesting that a song that, that part is very, lyrically great and precise. And there's kind of, that weird section about, I want a daughter, but if it's too much to ask, send me a son. Which I think is kind of interesting, because if The Suburbs is partially about reckoning with nostalgia, moving past the way that you felt when you were younger, if it's partially about that, it's also partially a little bit about, the end of the world or something. And I like the idea that sort of everything that is every force of destruction, every kind of evil is laid at the feet of men, which I think is sort of both very progressive and then sort of YouTube biblical. The idea that saying send me a son is kind of a dark phrase, I think is both timely and timeless. But anyway, when you look at the greatness of a song like The Suburbs and the sophistication of the lyrics and everything, it's sort of galling that it's on an album as it's on an album with a song as stupid as Rococo, which is basically literally just hipster kids are dumb. I just recently was looking at this Twitter thread, and it was about a guy who broke up with his girlfriend because she didn't like a certain movie, and some movie critic retweeted it, and everybody was replying with ex-girlfriends and boyfriends of theirs who liked the movie or didn't like a movie that made them unable to be respected or whatever. And I think it's a gross sentiment, and I also just hate, it's so fuddy-duddy to be young people these days have no sense of artistic context or whatever. It's yeah, they're not supposed to. The coolest thing that there is saying you know what, man, a 16-year-old kid today being fuck Prince, man, he's dead, he's old and dead, who cares? I know that's gonna, that's a 30-year-old who is not relatively self-aware would be driven crazy by such a statement. But I think it's cool, every time a celebrity dies, and then for a while there was this sort of game of if you're some ironic writer, you can despair over the fact that 15-year-olds have no idea who Bob Barker or whatever dead celebrity. I know Bob Barker hasn't died, but something like that. All these teenagers have no idea who Philip Seymour Hoffman is. Every time I think that, I think, good, that's great. It's great that teenagers have no idea who the fuck's Casey Kasem. Who gives a shit? You shouldn't give a shit. Teenagers, good for you. Having a sophisticated sense of the history of rock and roll or art or whatever isn't cool. Being pretentious with basically no real facts to back you up, like the teenagers being mocked in the song Rococo, that is cool. That's cool. That's what cool teenagers do.
Hey, dude, it's me. I just got home. Sharon, I just got home from vacay. And I will talk to you later on, I guess. See ya. Bye.
All Alright, let's talk about the song Crown on the Ground for a second. The band Sleigh Bells, they've created a number of rad songs over the years. But, in my opinion, they've never come close to recapturing the madness and intensity of this one particular song, Crown on the Ground. It's a miracle that it works. It's essentially a bunch of slamming and screeching sounds. Every instrument sounds both like it itself is broken and like it's in the process of like permanently damaging your headphones and your ears. And yet, when that big, huge beat drops out for the chorus, which is itself still pretty upbeat, the song never really gives you a break. You feel so like giddy and grateful when it returns.
I was just thinking about how when I got out of college my first year and I was touring with the Shakespeare Company, this guy who was not a great guy, he was a bad person. Every time we would set up the sound equipment for, wherever we were that week, he would immediately pop in this fucking mix CD because it was fucking 2009 and we still you had to carry those around with you if you wanted to listen to, your music.
That's true.
And it was like magnetic fields and I can't even tell you what the whole list of tracks was, but if you played any of them for me right now, I'd be like, oh, that's absolutely what was on that. Oh yeah. That electric field, not magnetic fields, I'm sorry. It was the song Electric Field.
MGMT.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
I can't hear that now.
Now I can really place that in a very specific time, which was like, I remember being in New York in 2009, and that was playing in you could walk down the street. It was like one of FDR's speeches, where you could just walk down the street and hear it coming from every window, unbroken. You could hear the whole song without ever entering a building, because it was just playing out of every bar.
God. I wish I could hear the end of that song. I left the store too early. Well, don't worry about it. Just don't fucking worry about it.
Wolf Like Me by TV on the Radio is the greatest song of all time. That has been true for the 11 years it has existed, so it's weird that I haven't gotten around to mentioning it on the show before, but it is the greatest of all time. It's repulsive and sexy and sounds kind of haunted, which is of course a key criteria. Just listen to this song for a second.
When the moon is round and full, gotta bust that box, gotta cut that first flame. The jet in a stolen car, but I remember when we get too far. For the transformation takes and bloodlust takes and break up slugs change. My body's free, God I like it. My heart's aflame, my body's flame, God I like it.
This is part at the end where it slows down for a while, and in a minute it's going to kick back in really hard. We saw TV on the Radio live a couple years ago, and this moment, when the song comes roaring back, it was the single most transcendent live music experience of my life. It was incredible. I really love this song.
Show you what how this falls.
Now, Lara Lynn, otherwise known as the kind of creepy waifish singer in the background of True Detective Season 2, she does a cover of Wolf Like Me.
Hands on me, mirror my melody, transfer my tragedy. Got a curse I cannot live, shines when the sunset shifts. When the moon is round and full, gonna bust that box, gonna cut that fish.
This cover does not improve on the original in any way. That would be impossible since it's the greatest song of all time, but it's still an interesting interpretation of the text. It's not unlike the way taking a Shakespeare class and hearing your other classmates read and talk about the work can assist in your understanding. That's what I like about this cover. It feels studied, monastic.
For the transformation takes and the bloodlust tanks and the faith is saved. My body's framed, God, I like it. My heart's aflame, my body's strained, God, I like it. My mind's changed, my body's framed, God, I like it. My heart's aflame, my body's strained, God, I like it.
So recently I was at work and I got a call that my grandfather was in the hospital having kidney and liver failure. That turned out to be a miscommunication in the game of telephone between members of my extended family. Things are weird between my father and his siblings, and so my brother and sister and I are just happy to hear anything, regardless of accuracy. So I left work and I drove down there. We don't know what it is right now. It could be a pinched nerve in his spine. I mean, he's 84, so it could just be being 84. But when I got to the hospital and he was in the emergency room and he was alone. So I sat with him and I talked to him and I've been there for the last 6 hours or so. And, it was good because we talked a lot, but it was heavy too, obviously. And I hadn't eaten anything or didn't even have any water or anything for all that time. And Christy was texting me, trying to get me to eat something. Because she, does her best to take care of me in situations like this because I don't do a good job of taking care of myself. And so I just left a couple minutes ago, and it's hard to say goodbye. You don't know if that's going to be the last time. But so I go to this McDonald's that I find as I'm getting lost trying to leave the hospital. And I go in there, and McDonald's skews me out more than hospitals. It's a rough situation in there. And they're having some kind of computer malfunction, so I just stand there for a little while and I think about leaving, but I know I'm supposed to eat. So I finally order a salad and a coffee. I just tried the coffee, by the way, just now. It tastes like dirt and water. And I survey my surroundings at the McDonald's, and it's grim, like grimmer than usual at McDonald's. Just nobody looks happy or healthy or like they have enough people who take care of them and care about them. And my phone is dying. So I'm hoping that my phone stays active enough till I find my way back to the highway. And so, I'm going to go sit off in the corner and just eat silently by myself. And my Southwest salad, which by the way was actually pretty good. And I sit at this little corner table and it has this sign over the top of it that says spread sunshine. And as I sit down, it starts raining outside. My grandfather, he told me about two things that he regrets. One was that he almost took a job working on an oil pipeline in Alaska for a year. It was going to pay a lot of money, but he just didn't want to go to Alaska. And he didn't do it, and he regretted it later. And the other one was similar in theme. He had a buddy who was set up working for a company in Hawaii and, had basically promised to help him get a house and worked there on the island. He said it was a great job. Basically, be part of a crew filling potholes in the streets. I guess there are a lot of potholes in Hawaii. Anyway, he said although everything would have been set up and the job and living situation was all going to be taken care of for him when he got there, he had to pay his way there, and so he decided not to do it. Also, my grandfather has 2 wedding bands on his finger, and I asked why. I wasn't sure what the other ring was. When he told me, of course, you know, it was obvious, and it's his wife's ring, who died a couple years ago. And he wears them both now. Also, I told him this joke that I know about, a guy who goes to the doctor, and what you do is basically you point at your arm with your index finger and your forehead and your elbow and your knee, and you say, like, Doc, you're doing an impression of the guy. You say, Doc, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts, as you touch everything. And you say, what's wrong with me? And then you say, the doctor says your finger's broken. Anyway, he really liked that joke. And he made me tell my aunt later when she showed up. A couple weeks later, my grandfather, my father's father, died. I was in the area picking up a drum set, so music and death are staying stubbornly intertwined here. So Christy and I got to my aunt's house just a few minutes after it had happened, and he was in a bed, and his mouth was open, and his eyes were open, and he was dead. I did some immediate compartmentalization, probably, but it was fine. We were ready for it. And my aunt played some of his favorite Johnny Cash songs while we waited for someone to come pick up the body.
I find it very, very easy to be true. I find myself alone when each day's through. Yes, I'll admit that I'm a fool for you, because you're mine. I walk the line.
When I'm driving in my car and a man come on the radio, he's telling me more and more about some useless information, trying to mess my imagination.
When I first heard Cat Power's cover of the Rolling Stones song Satisfaction, I didn't understand why she only did the verses and left the chorus out. Why deny people that? But now, I get it. Siri, is there a French phrase for the sensation you feel when you want to click thumbs down on a streaming service like Pandora, but you're worried they won't understand precisely why you're clicking thumbs down, and you hesitate for like a good 5 seconds?
I have a very clear memory of, in elementary school, kids sort of making fun of me and being like, they literally said, just name like 2 bands or like 2 groups.
Yeah.
Or something. Like, just say something that's like a real music group. Like, do you know nothing or anything? And I think I said Boys to Men. And then beyond that, I was like, I don't know.
That's almost
I don't
two.
know. Yeah.
There's both boys and men.
Mm-hmm.
What's funny is I feel like I had a lot of friends growing up who did not have any context for music. I never would have thought to make fun of them. But you know how I always think of it as like people will read like a John Green book or something, and they say, "Oh, like the narrators just have like they're just blank personality," or like the people say that about Bella from Twilight, right? She's like she has no personality; she's just like a blank slate of a person, and it's almost like I suppose the insinuation is that it's too cheap of a ploy to make your narrator just universally identifiable to all of your readers, but. In actuality, I always think like a narrator, even in a young adult novel with a very strong point of view, is more identifiable to me because I was a kid of strong opinions, mm-hmm. and specific tastes. And when I would read those books, I always thought about my friends, not me. I didn't put myself in the narrator's shoes. I thought about, like, my friend Nick, who seemed to, I just imagined that when we didn't hang out, he would just go home and sit in his room quietly and look at a wall.
Good
Like,
Lord.
I had no sense of any of his cultural personality. He broke his ankle playing basketball one time, and I was like, basketball? What? Really? And I just hadn't filled it in because I think I only understood, like, music, movies. If you don't like Star Wars and whatever, Prince, I guess at the time, then I don't know what you are.
Right. It's kind of like we always think of ourselves as the people who are bringing everything to everyone else, and we don't for a second consider, like, oh, maybe they already have a frame of reference for this, and I'm just assuming that I'm the only one who is, like, kind of holding this, like I'm the arc for all
Although
culture.
the thing is, I am. among most of my friends, even still, I am the arc for all culture. Okay. I bring everything to them. Everything they know. So, when it came time to determine what I wanted to do for my 30th birthday, for whatever reason, I couldn't help. I just kept thinking about band practices in high school. My high school rock band when I was 16 or 17 years old, and I was lamenting how tragically serious I was at that time. I mean, we certainly did our fair share of goofing around at Subjection Casual band practices in 2005. But I was often so focused on, my creative vision or whatever. I spent so much time yelling at my friends to stop, like, goofing around on their instruments and to pay attention that, I didn't really appreciate what I had. In a lot of ways, I feel like the arc of my life is that I'm always learning to take things a little less seriously, but then every time I've reached a point where I feel like I don't take things very seriously anymore, 5 years after that point, I'll look back and still won't be able to believe how self-serious I even was back when I thought I had it figured out. So for this party, I knew a lot of my musician friends were going to be coming, and I wanted to recapture and sort of reclaim that vibe and that narrative. I wanted to enjoy, like, what's weird was I didn't even really care that much about playing songs or playing songs well. I just wanted the noise. I wanted the everybody riffing on their own instruments separately. I wanted weird little jams that kept popping up. I wanted endlessly tuning the same guitar over and over again. And I got it. Unfortunately, or maybe what are you going to do? The music playing didn't start for a while because there were people coming to the party who hadn't seen each other in months or years, or maybe hadn't even met each other, so, like, we had to talk. So by the time we finally plugged stuff in, first of all, we were all pretty drunk. And second of all, by then, some people had already left. But we made the most of it.
No, let's record us explaining the premise of what we think that conversation should be. the pressure's on now. It was just so natural before.
No.
Now it's going to be so
No,
forced.
because now it's no, but we have an idea of what the conversation is.
Yeah.
So the conversation is we had both heard each other's voices, or maybe you had just heard organ parts of mine. But like we are like characters on a show.
Yes.
And we're sitting here in a living room meeting each other for the first time.
Yeah.
Without Zach. To like be the mediator of this conversation. Shosha's here though.
Yeah, she is.
It's like everyone from the podcast.
This is the last podcast spin-off.
Spin-off. That's right.
Spin-off podcast.
We're going to take the last podcast down, you know?
Yeah.
It's the very last podcast.
This is going to be the more successful
Very last.
Joni Loves Chachi.
Really, this is the last.
But for real,
this
this
really
is the
is,
last one. We swear it's the last one.
Zach sucks.
That's
Volume 1.
Yeah.
Zach Little is dead. Long live Zach.
Long live Zach.
See, there it is. And you knocked it. You were like, oh, well, it's going to feel all forced, you know?
Yeah, it was great.
It worked.
It's funny that even like 2 or 3 days later, I already have these kind of like slight pangs of regret about how certain things went at the party. And it's always so hard to know if those things are going to get worse or get better over time. Certain psychic scars kind of like become these chronic pain sources, and some of them are gone for a long time. Like just driving home right now, thinking about this stuff, I kind of went down this rapid fire memory K-hole about different shows that our band played. We did a lot of them right in our high school auditorium because they let us book it ourselves. Charge money at the door. It's kind of weird that they let us do that. Anyway, I was thinking fondly about those events, and then like this memory just kind of popped up, and I remembered, like, oh right, my dad never came to any of those. Just like he didn't come to my 30th birthday party. Jenny Lewis is good at swearing. She's definitely in the all-time top 10 for melodic cursing. And I think that's mostly due to the headspace from which those F-bombs originate. Which by and large is like, I guess, aggression toward anxiety. Rilo Kiley was a band about anxiety. Takeoffs and Landings is basically a nervous breakdown in album form. I remember being so struck by the repetition in the song Plane Crash in C. Like, oh yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I have no idea what's going on lately, and I just wish you would come over and explain things. And I have no idea what's going on lately, and I just wish you would come over and explain things. And I have no idea what's been going on lately, and I just wish you would come over and explain things. And I have no idea what's going on lately, and I just wish you would come over and explain things.
Anyway, here are the top 5 fucks in Rilo Kiley songs. Number 5, Pictures of Success.
I've had it with you, and Mexico can fucking wait, and all of those French films about trains.
Number 4 and number 3, A Better Son/Daughter.
And sometimes when you're on, you're really fucking on, and your friends, they sing along and they love you. But the lows are so extreme that the good seems fucking cheap, and it teases you for
number 2, Jenny, You're Barely Alive. Number 1, Spectacular Views.
See the stars from where the birds make their homes, staring back at us. Indifferent, but distanced perfectly, projected endlessly. It's so fucking beautiful.
Now you've got me thinking. There's so much beauty and profundity and all kinds of shitty pop culture all around us. Like living in Bloomington, one of the things that I do, you have to listen to a lot of shitty country music because that's like pretty much all there is on the radio when you're tired of listening to Green Day on the one college station. And these country musics that are just so, baby, since you've left, I can't live, I'm drinking all the time and stuff. And I remember just being real impatient with it until I'd been living there about a year, and I all of a sudden realized that what if you just imagine that this absent lover they're singing to is just a metaphor, and what they're really singing is to themselves or to God. Since you've left, I'm so empty, I can't live, my life has no meaning. That in a weird way, I mean, they're incredibly existentialist songs that have the patina of the absent, of the romantic shit on it just to make it saleable, but that all the pathos and heart that comes out of them is they're singing about something much more elemental being missing, and they're being incomplete without than just some girl in tight jeans or something. And it's so weird. It's like you live immersed in this stuff. It's very Flannery O'Connor-ish, and then every once in a while you realize that it's all the same and it's all about the really profound shit.
I put that David Foster Wallace clip in here just because it reminds me of this joke my dad likes to tell, which is what happens when you play a country music song backwards. You get your truck back, you get your dog back, you get your wife back. Honestly, I think it's a truer observation than whatever shit David Foster Wallace was just saying. I love you, Dave, but the suggestion that Trace Adkins is capable of deep thought is a bridge too far.
Cheer up, honey, I hope you can.
What do you like in a cover song? I guess I like a certain amount of reinvention, improvement on the past.
There is something wrong with me.
What's the use of doing it exactly like the previous generation did? But I do like to hear some antecedent strains in there. Sometimes in our effort to reinvent a song, we do too much damage to the melody. We take the train all the way off the tracks. There's a happy medium to strive toward. Keep what works, and maybe add something new.
Once in England, 1976. A jazz club called Ronnie Scott's. I love this story because a bunch of friends, we were going to school in England, a bunch of friends booked a show for Taj Mahal. They were all big fans. Mm-hmm. Maybe 5 or 6 weeks in advance. And I was going with the group. For some reason, Taj Mahal canceled. So everybody's, there's this guy named Al Jarreau. So we might as well go. We got tickets. So we went up to this jazz club in downtown London called Ronnie Scott's with 300 tables. It was an amazing place. With a little tiny stage, and we were table number 1. His music changed over the years, but it was his ability to make many different sounds like instruments with his voice, and the way he did it, and the way he did it with his hands and his scat, using percussions and just variations in sound was amazing. There's a huge variation in his music over his career. A good one to start with might be the collaboration that he did with George Benson. Otherwise, you may want to go right back to his first successful album with Warner Brothers called Glow.
Okay.
It's excellent.
So now you saw him in 1976 when you didn't
Yep.
even know him. Then you saw him at Red Rocks, which is like probably the ideal concert venue.
It was great.
In the world.
And in that stage of his career, he was all about a big band, lots of sound, on the pop end of it. We went down to Denver in this great outdoor venue. I don't even remember what it was, and saw Al Jarreau with George Duke, and it was funny because Kelly was very skeptical about going to see jazz, and basically argued with Climo and myself that she was not going to enjoy the show, and she's been a hardcore Al Jarreau fan ever since. Another album to listen to that is really well done is his Christmas album.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. And yes, it's Christmas music, but there's enough outside of what you would think of as Christmas music to make it really good to listen to anytime. There was this We Are the World collaboration with a huge number of artists.
Yeah.
Well, Al was involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I read an interesting article one time where all these superstars, and Al wanted to meet one specific person, and I guess he like broke down in tears when he finally did. Who do you think that was?
From We Are the World?
Yeah, remember that big collaboration
Yeah.
they did? Right? And
Michael Jackson?
Bob Dylan.
You want to talk?
You can talk, it's fine.
Because you can edit it.
Yeah.
He also did the theme song for a TV show,
Oh yeah, Moonlighting.
which helped to bring him a little
Moonlighting,
more popularity.
yeah.
With Sybil Shepherd and
Sybil
Bruce,
Shepherd and
Willis.
Bruce
Is that
Willis,
who it was?
yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
So he did the theme song for the show.
Yeah. I used to watch that show just so I could hear his theme song at the beginning.
And I think one of the memorable shows too for us was the one at the Beacon Theater in New
The
York.
Beacon Theater was a Christmas show. That
great.
was really the whole New York scene.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, dressed up for Christmas, and I would say the other end of that was when we went to the casino down in Connecticut. What was that? And it was a great show. We had great seats, and he was going to be signing CDs after the show. And we stood in line for about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. And we were one person away from Al, and Kelly had to go.
When my mom remarried, one thing that my stepdad Bill brought to the table was a family lake house. Now, I was not much interested in the lake or the house, but I was very interested in the fact that the TV there got MTV2. Now, I'm old enough to remember when they still played music videos on MTV2. And on 2 separate occasions, I arrived at this lake house for a weekend or whatever, turned on the TV within seconds of my arrival, and both times caught the very end of a life-changing song. The first time, I turned on the TV and I saw the last minute, or maybe even less, of the video for Freakish by Saves the Day.
Well, here I am, don't know how to say this. Only thing I know is awkward silence.
I'd never heard of this band before, and the video is some Muppety bullshit, but what blew me away were the guitars. Because at this point, I was mostly listening to Blink-182 and Green Day. I thought the only kind of chords that existed were like the 3 strings at a time, super basic pop-punk power chords. All major key. I didn't even really know what major key was. And of course, I was vaguely aware of the GCD folky Bob Dylan bullshit, but at the time, as a teenager, I hated that stuff. The times, of course, very much changed on that front, but anyway, whatever was going on with the guitars at the end of Freakish just about blew my mind.
Don't shut me
I went out and bought and adored and still adore the Saves the Day record, Stay What You Are. And ironically, given the title, it opened up a lot of new doors for me musically. The second time this happened, it was the last minute of the music video for The Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows. Brand New taught me a lot. They taught me that songs, and by extension, videos and blog posts, could have long literary titles, some that were funny, some that were profound. Of all the writing I've done in my life, some of the blog post titles for Blogging Twilight are among my proudest achievements. Jesse Lacey taught me that. He also taught me that you could very abruptly turn from being fun and playful to deadly serious and back again, and that sometimes that dissonance was more effective than telegraphing your moves. Brand New also, probably most importantly, keyed me into the frequency of many of the songs that I now call my favorites. The haunted ones, the ones that seem to contain within them a godly power. The Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows was my original haunted song.
We saw the western coast, I saw the hospital, nursed the shoreline like a wound. Because of lovers' trysts, were neither clear nor descript. We kept it safe and slow, the quiet things that no one ever knows.
And I almost missed it. You know, I only saw the last little bit of both of those videos. And it occurs to me that one big thing that has changed and is changing as we make all of our media streamable is that nobody ever just hears the end of something anymore.
That and like Brand New, Deja Entendu.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I actually listened to that album. I guess I was just like feeling nostalgic or something, and I put it onto Spotify, which again is like a totally interesting shift in, because I mean I listened to that when you know we had CDs, and now it was just, oh yeah, what was that song that I used to listen to? Oh, let's just bring it up on demand on Spotify, and oh yeah, it was Deja Entendu. Let's just play that whole album now.
Isn't it weird to think about that, like, previous generations of people, like, could hear a song and be like, what song was that? That was a great song. I guess I'll never know and never hear it again.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's... we were born into that world.
Yeah.
And found a solution. Like, I don't know who created Spotify, but I feel like it was probably a millennial.
Right.
So, we fixed that problem.
So it's December 23rd, 2016, and I am once again driving to a hospital. It's happened a lot this year. This has been a year of a lot of medical issues for three of the most important people in my life. My wife, my father, and now my brother. It's actually like, it feels like it would have been the perfect premise for like a Luke Wilson dramedy from back in the days when we didn't know that you're not supposed to frame these stories around, you know, a straight white guy ostensibly at the center of all this. This is not that. We've learned to... This is not that. I just wanted to record sort of this thought I was having at, 4:30 in the morning last night, which is that although maybe the people that know me the best might sort of laugh at this, I think that I am fundamentally an optimistic person. I can be very, very moody and negative, but above everything else, I think I always have this sense that everything's going to be okay. In fact, sometimes that's where some of my darkness comes from, like when it doesn't become okay fast enough. So maybe I'm not an optimist. Maybe I'm some other slightly twisted version of an optimist. But I just found myself thinking, like, I wonder when it breaks. Donald Trump is on Twitter right now saying we need to greatly expand our nuclear arsenal. And so many people that I love are in pain. I've talked before about the way that my father's medical issues seemed to coincide with or prompt a change in me. But I felt like it was a positive one. But what if something else happens? What if something changes me in a bad way? What if the next change, what if the next evolution is not an optimistic one? I don't know. I also don't know that it really matters. Right now, I just kind of want to go see my brother. I've got the right soundtrack this time, though. I'm not stuck, but, you know, I don't have to contemplate Cat Stevens. I've been listening to Hop Along.
My son is waiting on me, and he ain't a patient man.
I listened to Hop Along a lot this year. I think in part because their music kept reminding me that art could heal. Sometimes I think I have kind of a sick relationship with being creative. There were times in my life when it seemed like it was the only thing that was making me happy. But that wasn't really the case. I just wasn't happy and was shutting out everything else. Anyway, I think as I came out of that, that depression or whatever it was, my relationship with being creative had to be sort of rehabilitated. You know, I had to keep myself from working on things all the time. I had to say, you know, not everything has to be a video. I don't have to write about everything on Tumblr. I don't have to talk about politics at all. And I had to work on things that were worthwhile. I had to work on things that were worthwhile, and I had to separate my sense of self-worth from, you know, likes and complimentary comments on the internet. I still like those. I mean, keep the podcast reviews coming. I'm thinking about getting some of them tattooed on my back. Hop Along, though.
See the old man on the bridge. He's holding up a sagging neck. It's full.
When I listen to Hop Along, it reminds me that art, you know, even art about pain, can be healing. There's something about the singer of Hop Along, Francis Quinlan. They're from Pennsylvania, and just like everything else in Pennsylvania, the pronunciation of her last name is a secret only to native Pennsylvanians, like Conshohocken. Come on, guys, get out of here with that. There's something about her voice that, you know, it feels like it's grinding away at something, smoothing out something that needed to be smoothed out. When I hear her sing, you know, none of this is gonna happen to me, over and over, it feels like something is being worked through. We're on the way to feeling better about something. Creating art and consuming art, it can help us deal with this stuff. It can make us better. It can, you know, not just comfort and distract us, but like it can be the medicine that goes in. I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is,
a path down a little ways where you can get off if you want. Out of the woods and into the wild, baby. The keys are in the car. Feels like old strings on an even older guitar. Quoted once as totaled, baby, but I think that I just need some parts. I feel like old strings on an even older guitar. Get cleaned up, get buffed out. Get detailed, get scrubbed down. Old strings on an even older guitar. Get restored, look brand new. New hardware, new strings too.
My favorite song of the year so far is Mary by Big Thief. It is certainly not a summer banger. It's this quiet little piano thing with this chorus that sneaks up on you and then just keeps going. Like, its power comes from emotional accumulation.
What did you tell me, Mary, when you were there, so sweet and very full of fields and stars you carried all of time? Oh, in heavens, when you looked at me, your eyes were like machinery, your hands were making artifacts in the corner of my mind. Monastery, monochrome, boom, boom, machine and all, diamond rings and gutter bones, marching up the mountain with our vacant planet, high and smiling, cheap drink, dark and violet, full of butterflies, the violent tenderness, the sweetest silent, the clay you vanished, fortified, we felt unfocused fade, the land, the sugar rush, the constant hush, the pushing of the water gush, the marching band, when April ran, they June bugs fly and push yo, Gin Jacob with the tired, wiry brandy look, here we go around, Mary, in your famous storybook.
I've been working on these episodes for a long time, like over a year. And I want to thank everybody who welcomed us into their homes and studios and breweries and conferences. It was really wonderful to get out there and to do a lot of this stuff face to face. We certainly hit all of our old themes, but I like to think that we found some new ones too. But where we go from here is still a mystery. So this is the end of season 3. Christina Little contributed extensive editing help for this episode, so special thanks to her. Thanks also to everybody who appeared, the birthday band, John Pernasek, my stepfather Bill Seavey, R.I.P. Al Jarreau, and all the musicians who inspire me in ways that I can't even put into words, though of course I will keep trying. In a week or two, we'll do another Arcade Fire episode, of course, as soon as I can get together with Morgan, who, by the way, is still sick, but getting better every day. Your organ music was deeply missed this season, dude. Get back to work. After that, I'm going to take some time to figure out what's next for the last podcast. I want to talk to some old friends of the show, and I want to meet some new people. I want to ask some new questions, and I'm probably also going to keep asking the same weird shit about technology and notebooks or whatever. And the other thing is, Christy and I are having a baby. It's due on Valentine's Day. So, that's probably going to come up a bit. Thank you all for listening, for sending kind words about the show. Stay in touch. We'll be back.
Once
your life being a comprehension, and that's how I was when we first met. So that's what we wanted to do in the movie. A lot of guys don't know what to do and like spinning around.
Spinning his wheels, spinning, like keeping a lot of attention.
But this guy has your name.
However, there is a pool of professional veterans that can do the mission.
Measures light across 5 miles of canal. There's going to hold it flat. So there's this curve, 5 miles. We put a lens here